Hello, welcome pen friends. Welcome to another ink profile. We're still working our way through Ink Flight 27 from Ink Journal, and today we're going to do Krishna Sufi. It's a limited edition ink. It's a green ink, and it's got a lot of complexity there. I think that shows you, that angle shows you the color really well. I really like this ink. It's very tempting. So let's get into it. Let's put it in the bath test first off, right here. Put it in there, let that work. I went out of order, so don't panic. You didn't miss ink number 6. It's just that we're going to go back to that on the next one. I got a little bit over eager to see this one, the Krishna Sufi. So I did this one first, and we'll finish our series with Krishna Winalum, which is the number 6 ink in that series. So, but we'll get to it. I won't let you. I won't skip it or anything. There we go. Okay, we'll let that work. And let's get into the first ink journal here. This is the trusty Rodya Gold book. And we'll flip back and I'll show you. I've got it all filled in, and I taped in the official names to the inks and everything. We've got them all kind of in there. So that's good. And here we are. Let's see. Now, the joke was on me because remember, I just got done complaining about how much sheen was in Diamine Robert. And there's a lot of red sheen in Krishna Sufi, which I guess I wasn't anticipating. But that's okay because it acted differently. And I've used this ink for letter writing, and I really like it. Trying to see if I can get you a better view that isn't quite so dark, but here it is in the broad nib. And I did discover that it was available at Pen Chalet for $9 for a 20 ml little bottle. It's just a little bottle. It did say special order, and what I think is that it, not to expect speedy normal delivery on that, because I think they have to special order it. But I would have to email them to be sure what that meant, but still, just to have it available, being that it's limited edition, is kind of nice. Now, I don't know if you can see all that red sheen, but it's just a sheen monster on the Tomoe River insert there. And then here it is in the fine Lamy nib. And it held its own in there, and I really liked it. This morning I was writing to a pen pal overseas who really likes the finer nibs, so I made a point of using the Lamy fine nib with this ink to kind of show her what it looked like, and it really looked nice on Rodya. I was writing on Rodya today, so my first impressions, I was surprised how much I like this one. But of course I had that preview of the complexity of the ink, so I'm not totally shocked or anything. But I really like it. Okay, so then here's the chromatography. That was interesting. And the water went right up over it. So that was very, very interesting, I thought. That shows you where all of that is coming from. That really drastic blue is probably what's given us that view. So let's get into the next one, the trial one. This is from Bond Travel Gear, and it's got 68 GSM Tomoe River paper in it. So it's on white, and generally speaking, I get to see better what the ink looks like on here. Here it is in the broad nib and in the fine nib. I like it. Now, you see the red sheen, or at least with my eyes right here, I'm seeing the sheen on the paper better in the broad nib, and then it leaves it alone. It makes the green comes out in the fine nib, so maybe that's why I liked that. And then it didn't bleed through. That was really nice. Okay, so we've got 4 smaller notebooks, and we've got a replacement notebook to talk about too. Oh, I forgot to show you this. Let me do this real quick, just in case. I think I talked about this the other day, but Diamine Robert was partially resistant to the water, and you could still read it, and it was a B on the clean-out scale. It was a pain in the neck to get it out of the converter, but that was the Lamy converter, and sometimes that happens. I had to kind of work at it, but it came out of everything else just fine. This section and everything cleaned out, and so did the Serendipity. So on to the small notebooks. This is the Leuchtturm 1917 dot grid, and here's our ink, Krishna Sufi. You can really see the color here. I feel like this is a very good paper for it to showcase the ink. And it shows that it's lighter in the fine nib, but it's still saturated enough. That's one of the things I love about Krishna inks. They're saturated. You don't see quite as much of the sheen, but you still get a red tint on the letters. It's just hard to pick up on the camera. Let's see whether it went through. No bleed through, not even where it's painted on. So, all right, next will be CVS Caliber, the trusty little 6x4" memo, really super cheap notebook. Let's see here, okay. And it was a real sheen machine here on this paper. It really was. It's red. You can see that, right? Mixed in with that green. I don't know what I think of that, but it's certainly is interesting. If you like sheen, here's another good sheening ink. Okay, so it looked good, I thought, in both the broad nib. I mean, look at that. It stands out. It looks green. It doesn't get too carried away, the sheen on this paper. And then here we are in the fine nib, and it still does okay. I put very pretty. I must have liked it on this paper. Let's see about bleed through. Okay, just a, like, you know, colors trying to seep through, but that wouldn't bother me at all. Okay, so sad day in a way. Last page on this little notebook. I have enjoyed this, and I think that another one of these notebooks might be in my future, but I can't buy notebooks until I finish the ones I have, because I'm really ridiculous in that. So, okay, here, oh, that was yesterday. I think now I'm okay, anyway, I'm getting distracted because there's my little countdown for my trip. I only had 6 days, and now not counting today, which is April 30th today. Then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, I still have 6 days. Okay, 6 days, yeah. I had 7 yesterday. I'm getting distracted again. Okay. All right. Here's the red sheen on that little, like, painting or blobbing with the paintbrush. And yet you can see it goes from a kind of a light safari, almost green, all the way to a real dark red tinted. It's pretty. And then I put it in the Moon Man glass nib. And it's quite dark, and it showed in this nib quite a bit of the red sheen, making it look almost black as you're looking at it through the camera. And yeah, it's getting really close to my trip, and because it's been 1.5 years since I've seen my family, I'm really excited. But that was it, because now I don't have any spreads left, just this one page, which I'll use. So I went through all my stuff, and I found, voila, you know, of course, Ink Journal sends us ink goodies every month, and this is one that I'd hoarded. I don't know what I was thinking, but let's see, maybe I may, no, I haven't even done a pen test, but I must have thought I was going to use it, because I cut out a J. Arbonne blotting paper, and I went so far as to make a tab so that I could find my place. I think this will go ahead and replace this one. And this is that premium CD notebook. Who makes this? Apica. And I believe this is paper that is every bit as good as this, and I think we're going to enjoy it. It doesn't have any lines. It's all white, but that's okay. I can probably come up with something to put underneath that'll have like a pencil board with dark lines so I can write on one side and paint on the other. Ooh, this is really creamy, pretty paper. It may even be better than the other one. So, never to fear, we have something to replace it. And here's the Live Notes by Pen Gallery with 68 GSM paper, but instead of being like the white one, it's cream. So, we'll get to look at this. We've got a lot of sheen on there. Didn't quite shade the same way, but it did sheen. And there's a lot of red sheen on the broad nib writing too. And then we drop down into the Lamy Fine nib, and I like it better in that. And that's what happened with the Diamine Cult as well. I mean, Robert, the Cult Pens exclusive. I liked it better in the fine nib because I wasn't competing with all that sheen. It does manage to show the green better, I think, in the Lamy Fine nib. Okay, well, let's keep this handy and hop right over to 52 GSM Tomoe River paper. This is quite a lineup here. And here we go. We can see all that sheen if we get it just right. Let's see, we might even be able to, I'm not having very good, there. It's all red and interesting, and there it is in the broad nib and in the Lamy Fine nib. I didn't write that, but that is the Lamy Fine nib down here. That's pretty. Usually I'd be writing my pen pal paper, letters on Tomoe River, but I wanted to try something a little more like this particular pen pal uses paper that's closer to Rodya and fine nibs or extra fine nibs. So I kind of wanted to show her my inks in what she would typically write in. I think that's nice. You know, it's something I can do. I can't do much else, but right now because all my funds are going to my trip. So Clairefontaine 90-gram French rule paper. Again, we get some red sheen, but not as much. We get that safari kind of color coming out, that green that I like so much. And I thought it looked great on Clairefontaine. I really liked how that looked. You know, it held up as green better. Let me see. That's showing you more of what I'm seeing right there. It's green and it's nice. It's got that, you know, like, well, safari is the word that comes to mind. Okay, here's the Rodya. So this will show you pretty much what I was showing my pen friend. I didn't do any painting. I just wrote with a fine nib, but there it is on the broad nib and the Lamy fine nib. So it did provide a nice color green, and I thought that would show her what the ink looked like. And I'm not really sure about the availability of this ink when you get over there to her country, but pretty sure she could still get it. I'm not positive. So there it is. And okay, one more paper sample, which is Georgia Pacific 20-pound copy paper. I've been forgetting to turn these over, so I'll do a quick flip at the end. Here's our ink of the day, Krishna Sufi. Now, color-wise, that looks really good, but there is a lot of feathering and spread, or what I would call feathering. Yeah, you know, you expect that, but in the fine nib, it's better. I would suggest a fine nib if you're working on this really cheap copy paper. So let's turn this one over. And it only went through significantly where it's painted on, and then maybe it tried to a little, but nothing that would be too bad. So let's turn these others over. Let's turn Rodya over. Rodya 80 gram. Okay, no bleed through there. And then we'll end up back where we need to be. This is the Clairefontaine 90 gram. A little bit of bleed through just where it's painted on, extremely heavy. And then we might as well compare the two Tomoe River. This was the 62-gram white paper with the Krishna Sufi. And it did bleed through just where it's painted on. And it has a little show through. Nothing that bothers me. So let's compare it to the 68 GSM. If we can. It's kind of hard working around tripod and stuff. I thought it looked more dramatic here on the 52-gram paper. Really, really pretty for artwork. On the other hand, it bled through. So let's look and see. Okay, it did not bleed through the 68. Now that's nice, because if you're keeping a art journal or ongoing journal like this, you kind of, you know, then the next page you got a little bit to deal with there. I can deal with something like that, but it's nice if it doesn't do that. But you did sacrifice a little bit of the sheening, like this one on the 52, it sheens and crinkles kind of nicely. And I think it looked a little darker on here for some reason on the 52. But I liked it was an advantage because I liked the green coming out on the 68 GSM. Okay, there's that. Now let's stop in. Oh, look at this. Oh, for heaven's sake. Now we are dealing with a green ink. We're not doing the other blue one, and this is what we ended up with. Well, it kind of makes sense from that chromatography because that's what we saw. Let's grab that real quick. That's what we saw. If I remember right. Yeah, we saw that coming out. So there it is. That shouldn't surprise us now that we've seen that. So that's cool. Huh. Okay, so you could still read it, but you're not going to have your green anymore. Okay, now let's look at some panels, and I've done this in a way such that I can show you 3 panels. And here's our ink of the day. I should have gotten a piece of tape, but hopefully it'll just kind of sit there. Who knows? It might not. Yeah. Okay. Stay. Please stay. Okay, so I really didn't have anything much like this, but I did want you to see it near Monteverde Olivine, because that's not the same, but it isn't. It's a more saturated and a darker green there, with less red sheen. So There's that. And then let's get right into another one where we're going to have a little repetition, but not too much. Okay, so for this one here, well, okay, I wanted to show it side by side with this one first. This is the Kyoto Tag Uraharo, and it's not at all alike, but we have done a full profile on that green, and I wanted you to see there's a long way from that. This is much more saturated. And then if we put it here, I had originally thought that the Tasha olive green was going to be similar, but it's a long way. Whoops, oh, so crooked, that's too bad. Okay, it's a long way from that, but it's nice to see that. And then here, look at Noodler's Army Green. It's even a long way from that. But when we get over here to Diamine Safari, to the bottom left, then I start seeing a little similarity more, maybe not, because if I look at it, it's quite similar. All right, and then Monteverde Olivine, I'm covering it up, but we saw that on the last panel. And then really quite a bit of basic similarity to Diamine Classic Green, but you don't have the complexity that you have with this one. You have all these colors coming out, and we're going to see that in the art journal in just a minute. Okay, I think I have just one more panel I wanted to show you, because in spite of all the similarities, there was at least this one. I wanted you to see Private Reserve Avocado. That seems to be more of a forest green. It's darker, but I did see quite a bit of similarity there, enough to get me interested. And the Pelican Edelstein Olivine, which showed up on another panel, I think. Yeah, it did. It's got a lot of similarities, but it's more two-tone instead of three, so we're not quite the same. All right, and then the rest of that is all kind of, yeah, that's repetition. Okay. So let's drop in and see how it did on the visual journal. It was quite interesting on here, really complex. It comes out and it immediately just, I wish you could see what it does. I need to get a better camera so I can actually do clips like that and spice them together and do stuff. But, you know, you end up with yellow and green and blue, and it's just amazing. And then over here, it reacted, and it did little displays, and I really liked it. This was really fun. This is what I'd call a very suitable ink. I could play with this a little more with how much water, and I could end up with a really pretty picture, I think. So this Krishna Sufi is really good for the Nick Stewart technique, and I had a lot of fun with it. So there we have it, another one finished. As far as what's next, we only have one more in the series, so we're going to go backwards to Krishna Winalum, and this is this beautiful blue. It's gorgeous, isn't it? It's another limited edition. So that will be our closeout for this series, and within the next couple of days, because I'm going to be flying soon, so I got to get that done. Let's see, and oh yes, I wanted to just mention something real quick. I was pulling out, now these are postcards that are in my kind of permanent collection. I've had these a long time, and I'm hoping not to use these. These will probably stay home, but I'm hoping to find some while I'm up in Vermont so I can send out to you folks that I have your address. And but I do love postcards, and I thought that would be a really good, you know, a way to have fun while I was traveling. And postcards are pretty. This is a typical Vermont scene. And this is a fall scene here, but it's sometimes it looks a little bit like fall when you go up there in May. What happens is, though, you won't quite have anything on the trees yet, and then little by little you'll start seeing the buds, but I may be a little bit early for that. So the ground cover will still be a lot of fall-like leaves still on the ground in the woods and stuff, and I'll be taking lots of pictures. I go to a place called Holland Pond, and I see loons, and oh, they're so beautiful, and they sound so beautiful. So that's another of my favorite postcards that I get from up there. Some of these I haven't found again, but hopefully I will. And then this is a white-tailed deer. It looks like it's got some snow and ice on that one. That's a pretty one. I've saved. Some of these are almost yellow. I've had them so long. And then this one is a bear. They're a black bear there. I'm not afraid of them though. I think they're pretty much more afraid of us in the woods than we are of them. So there's that one. And then, of course, it wouldn't be complete without lots of cows. My grandfather had this kind of cow. Let's see. Oh, geez. I get mixed up. Holsteins and Jerseys. I think that's a Jersey. Vermonters that see this, if I say it wrong, I'm going to get it. But anyway, I do get confused. And my mother would have a fit too. But both types of cows, the light brown, which my grandfather had, and then the other kind, which I think are the Holsteins. But I'm not sure. I should have looked that up first. What kind of Vermonter am I? And then this Lake Willoughby is a place I like to go. It's a real picturesque place that we drive by a lot when I'm going to other places. Oh, here's the deer more in a fall scene. I mean, like I said, I got these right out of my photo album because I collect them. And then this, I think, this is the old stone house in Brownington, Vermont. This is another place I like to go. So, but I like these a lot, even though I take my own pictures. Oh, and this is an old stone house rendered as a art. Let's see, art by someone, artist, Felipe Daigle. I thought that was just gorgeous. I had several of those the last time, and I had some note cards. So that's what I'm planning. I'm planning to kind of buy a whole bunch of postcard stamps and pick up postcards. I'm hoping they still have some. They should. There are still people who do postcards, so that's one of my plans. And then in the meantime, I'm really having fun reading this book, Sophie's World, a novel about the history of philosophy. Oh gosh, this is awesome. I can't believe I never ran across this before. But a viewer who shall remain anonymous and a friend, a pen pal, recommended this, and then I ran right into it in Half Price Books, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm actually thinking about carrying it with me. I don't think it weighs quite a pound, but I'm thinking about it. So, okay, that's enough chit-chat, but I will be back with this beautiful blue ink, which seems to have a little red something, maybe sheen or shading. Knowing the Krishna inks, it's probably some sheen too. So, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you back here soon. Bye for now.